So our rational numbers are anything that can be written as a fraction. We have some decimals here, whole numbers. Remember, we can put them over 1. Or it could be a decimal that doesn't end, but as long as there is a pattern, we can write that as a fraction, right? So our irrational numbers are those non-repeating, non-terminating. That means they never end.
How would it be as a fraction?
So we can't write irrationals as a fraction, exactly.
No, the 2.4.
2.42 would be 2 and 42 hundredths, negative.
Oh, yeah.
So anything related to our non-perfect squares, because remember we said like square root of 16 is a perfect square, so it's rational. Non-perfect squares are irrational, and anything related to pi is irrational. So our integers are positive and negative whole numbers, including 0. So like 10,000 is an integer. 3 over 3 is an integer because it equals 1. How about the square root of 9? Is that an integer?
Yes.
Yeah, because it equals 3. Good. Let's give us an example to help us with a negative minus a negative. If I had negative 3 minus 4.
It would be negative.
Right. Think I owe my mom $3 and now another 4. Or I'm 3 feet below sea level and I'm going down another 4. So where would we end up? If we're going down another 4, where do we end up, guys? We end up at negative 7. So whenever we have a negative minus a negative, we get a bigger negative. Bigger negative. We're going further in debt when it's a negative minus a negative. So here's my example. You put in your example and show it's a bigger negative, right? Look at all of these examples and make sure you have an example of yours where it's a negative minus a negative. Let's look over here. Negative energy always wins. This is when the two signs are battling each other. So if I had 4 plus negative 7, everyone write that one down and try it. So when the two signs are battling, the negative wins. So I'm going to rewrite it as 4 minus 7. I have $4. If I borrow 7, after I use the money I have, I'm still in debt, negative 3. If you get the sign wrong when you're solving these, guys, the whole question's going to be wrong. So think, you only have $1. You're borrowing 10. After you give your mom that dollar, you still owe her $9. Negative 9. Okay, let's take a look at number 2 here. 0 minus negative 7 equals
7.
positive 7, right? A negative and a negative give me a positive 7. Take a look at number 3. Negative and a negative give me a bigger negative, so negative 8. 9 minus negative 5, a negative and a negative give us a positive. When I'm subtracting a negative, I know my answer is going to be a bigger negative, negative 10. Here, make sure you have rewritten this question first. Once I rewrite it, negative 6 plus 4 gives me negative 2. I'm still in debt. Here, a negative and a negative is going to be a bigger negative. Great, this is negative 13 here. Here I have a negative and a negative, so I know this is a positive. Remember, when the two are next to each other, it makes a positive. And here again, a negative and a negative give me a positive. Negative 19. We're going further in debt here. Let's look at L. Negative and a negative give me a positive there of 20. Here, a negative and a negative give me a positive, so we get 19. Yep, a negative minus a negative. We're going further in debt there. Okay, here is one where we have to rewrite it first. Negative 8 plus 8 gives me 0, right? It's going to cancel out there.
Is that I?
That was I.
Okay.
Now for K, negative 8 minus 18, negative minus a negative gives me a bigger negative. Negative 16 minus 11, negative 27 here. Good. Okay, let's take a look at our word problem down here. Last night, the temperature in New York City went down to 4 degrees. In Antarctica, the temperature went down to negative 20. What is the difference between the two temperatures? So remember, if it helps you, draw a little thermometer. Here, New York City is 4 degrees, right? Here would be my 0 degrees. Antarctica is all the way down to negative 20 degrees. So I need to find the difference between both there. So you could think of it two ways. This is 4 and this is 20. So it's 24 degrees would be the difference. Or 4 minus negative 20. A negative and a negative give us a positive. 4 plus 20 would be 24 degrees difference. So your summative is going to be on math space and we're going to practice. I'm going to collect your scrap paper at the end. So at the top, I want you to write math space. No one should have your math space task started yet. Wait till we go over the directions first. On your scrap paper, label it math space. And then you need to put on there, show your work. So you need to, I know some friends like to do their work like this, right? I can't tell what question that is, and I can't tell where it is. I know we don't use paper so often, so this is why we're practicing to get ready for your summative. You need to number the questions. You need to write it down before you start. If it's a question like about absolute value, listing them in order, put the options down first and then write them down. If it says evaluate negative 3 plus 2, I should see negative 3 plus 2 written down. I don't want to just see negative 1. I don't want to just see an answer. I need to see the question with it. If it's an absolute value question, like saying put them in order, write them down. You don't have to put the words of the question, but put the numbers in there before you solve it. So I should see it look like this first, and then you're going to solve it, right? I should see your work done on here. If you don't have work, you're going to lose points on your test. I'm collecting your work when you are finished. This is getting you ready.